Hi, thank you so much for joining Marketing Beat. My name is Beverley Theresa, and I'm a social media strategist. And this is my co-host who's standing.
Hi, I'm Ameet. I own Ameet Marketing.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know what happened there. I own Ameet Khabra Marketing. That is an online marketing agency that specializes in pay-per-click advertising. And today we're going to be talking about overlooked Facebook ads targeting groups.
Woo! Okay. Hi, Narumi. Sorry, go.
So we're going to start with why target multiple Facebook audiences. Do you know, Beverly?
Nope, no idea.
Okay.
Can I just place an ad without interests or anything?
No. The effectiveness of your Facebook ad campaign is dependent on which audiences you choose. But it doesn't really matter, or just running one audience doesn't necessarily deliver great results, right? And here is why. Stop laughing at me.
I'm laughing at my hair. Continue.
So if you just run campaigns in a hot audience type of web traffic and you don't run any other campaign to increase web traffic, you'll hit audience saturation in a sense, right?
Oh.
Basically, you're just serving the same ads to the same people over and over and over again, right? And if it's just one group of people that you've identified as this hot group, eventually they're gonna completely not be worth anything because you've hit them so many times. Either they've already bought or they're never gonna buy because they hate your brand.
What is it? Ad fatigue or something?
Yeah, ad fatigue. So instead, what you want to do is run Facebook ad campaigns that target each of the audience, what's it called, avatar, I guess, dependent on the temperature they're at or where in the buyer journey they're at. So a lot of people it's either one or two. You're going to hear it depending on who you talk to, really. So sometimes you'll hear hot, medium, or cold, or hot, warm, and cold as target, as an explanation for audiences. Or you're going to hear something on the buyer journey side where it's awareness, consideration, and purchase. They're the exact same thing, just people use them interchangeably, really. So essentially what you need to do is figure out what your audience looks like when they're in the awareness stage, what they look like in the consideration phase, and then what they look like in the buying phase. And that's only because you want to expand out your audience, really. You want to have more people to sell to so you can grow your business. And the only way to do that is by finding people who are in the awareness stage and who are considering a product, and your product could be one of them if you just target the user correctly. Pretty simple, right?
Who knew?
Who knew? Now, first thing that you could do is create a Facebook lookalike audience based on existing customers. So what we want to do, if you're gonna, if built correctly, it'll consistently bring you actually pretty decent results, especially if we're looking at it in terms of a cold audience. So you could take an existing customer list, import it into Facebook, and then say, hey, I want my new list to look like these people within XYZ area, right? So we can do all of Canada at this point or whatever. And what that does is it discovers more people who look like your existing audience, but because we don't know if they're in the consideration phase or if they're in the awareness stage or if they're in the buying stage, we know at that point they're in the awareness stage. They don't know who we are, they're learning about the product, they probably need it like how our existing customer already did. So then it just creates this larger audience or a larger database really for you and your business, because now you've got, you're hitting people that have never discovered your product but are probably very likely to purchase it. The second one is to build a Facebook lookalike audience based on website visitors. So if you don't have any pixel data or enough customer data to build a lookalike audience for yourself off of a list, the next best way to do this is by creating a lookalike audience based off your website traffic. So this audience is often overlooked, actually, but it could be very effective because these people are already kind of in the consideration phase at this point, right? So the number of visitors your website receives each month will determine what audience will be chosen. So essentially what you're looking at is you want to have maybe, I don't know, at least 1,000 visitors, I guess, really at this point to make it actually the data worthwhile. And the ad set itself will create a larger audience off of that, really. I think some people suggest 5 to 10K. Sometimes that's not really possible for some businesses. So I usually say about 1,000 would be a starting point because that's a bit more attainable. And really, in reality, you should probably be at least getting 1,000 hits on your website.
I get like 1 million.
No, you don't. I have access to your analytics.
I get 999,000.
So anyway, so if your website receives, let's say, like 10,000 visitors per month, for instance, your audience duration would be like 30 days. But if your website receives 30K visitors, then sometimes it'll say that your audience duration should be like 10 days because it'll generate better results the more frequently it's updated, right? So if it's a smaller list, you can make it longer in terms of days. If it's a larger list, make it smaller in terms of days because then you can rotate it more fast. Audience duration essentially is how long the person's going to stay on your list. So if they enter your list today and you only have an audience duration of 10 days, then on the 21st will be their last day, right? And then eventually what happens is that they'll just refresh the list and put new people on it. So if you have a larger list, it always makes sense to do the rotation faster because there's so many people that you're funneling through. But if you have a smaller list, make that duration a little bit longer because you don't have as many people coming to your site. So it's very hard to keep up with that, right? Yeah. If you've got like 10K users, do 30 days. If you've got 30K users, do 10 days. If you've got 90K users, do 3 days. I don't know. But it should be quick and efficient really at this point. Or at least.
What if you have like 2 million? Can you do it like an hour?
I don't know if Facebook has that capability, but for a day,
I'm just being a jerk.
I know. Number 3, set up a Facebook audience based off of people who watched your videos. So if you're into like advertising in video or using video within your products or within your ads, this is a really great way to create a list of people that actually are interested in the product, essentially. So what you're able to do is actually, I think the options are 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 25%, 50%, 75%, and then 95%. So essentially what you're going to end up doing is, more often than not, I use 25% just because it makes the most sense to me. Or like 10 seconds because that at least shows some kind of intent in watching. And then essentially what you're going to end up doing is you'll set your audience duration for maybe 7 days because really at the end of the day we watch so much video that we're not really, although we are paying attention, we're not going to remember a video after that point. So recycling through that list just makes more sense because there's no point in hitting somebody longer than that if they're not even remembering what your brand was. And also it helps with maximum relevancy as well. Because it's still like top of mind at that point, right? They watched the video, now they're being served an ad. Now they'll be able to connect the two. Versus they watched the video and 30 days later they see an ad. They're not really going to remember very much. So you really want to keep that relevancy high. And you want to make sure that you keep that time for the audience duration pretty short too. Number 4.
What?
What?
Nothing.
build a Facebook custom audience on website converters. Oh wait, website visitors that did not convert. So this one is actually a really great one. It's one that I always suggest everyone do. And it's, I would say it's considered more of like a hot or an decision phase type of audience. Because these people have already qualified themselves as somebody who already knows about your brand and already has considered your brand, right? And at this point, yeah, they might still slightly be in the consideration phase because there's really no true way to find out. But we would still consider this as a decision phase or a hot phase, just because we know that this person is looking at the product at the very least, or the service, or whatever it is that we're trying to sell them. So essentially, where it kind of turns into a remarketing campaign for these guys, right? So they've come to our website, they did not convert. Now we've created a list of them, and we're retargeting them after that point. So what ads that are retargeting do really well, or should be doing, is creating ads that contain social proof, maybe even adding testimonials, maybe adding like a discount or something for your product if that's something that you're more than happy with doing to bring somebody back. Is always a good idea to use on people that came to your site and then did not do anything.
I really like those remarketing ads where they're like, hey, you left without blah, blah, blahing. And I'm like, how did you know?
I know, they're so much fun. And I think a lot of people do like really great things with it. It's that I think a lot of people are a little scared to kind of step outside of the generic boundaries that we've already set for ourselves. But I've always loved doing ads where it's just like, why did you not use us? We're so sad. Like, and if the brand allows it, of course we're going to do that. If not, then we're doing generic stuff, which is fine. I mean, it still works to a certain degree, but I think having a little bit more personality always really helps. And this is a great way to do that within Facebook, really. If you're doing a service and you're trying to sell somebody a service, you could literally use videos of customers, past customers, and you can have some cheeky ad copy on the top of it. Or you could do more features and see if that'll help. If you're an e-com business, obviously offering a discount would be a really great idea. And just be like, come back now, you'll get, 5-10% off. And that tends to bring that person back to actually, it prompts them to make that purchase at the end of the day, which I think is kind of nifty. But that's up to you, really, I guess. Another way to target people with Facebook and Instagram ads is by showing them to your existing client. So it's more of like a retention type of campaign, and they're often called ECRs, so existing customer retention. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the big misconceptions that marketers and business owners have in this regard is that the customer in themselves will come back, right? They purchase from us, they'll like it, they'll come back to us, they'll totally remember. And that's not necessarily always true, right? Often, a lot of people forget about the brand that they bought it from, and then they go, I need that thing again, and they can't seem to remember what the brand was. They're too lazy to find out, so they go purchase somewhere else. And that's, a loss in sale, which you could have prevented if you just did a campaign around your existing clientele. Felt like I needed to do that. So this isn't like, it's not only like a case that's online, you know what I mean? So if they purchase from you online and they forget, they forget. But there's also so many instances when it comes to real IRL, essentially, purchasing, where you could go to, People's, and you're buying a ring, and they grab your email address and all your information, and they put you into their database. It's easy enough to take that database and create a list around that, and then go back and target that person. I don't know if People's would be a good example. Let's do Forever 21. That's a good example. So you bought clothes from Forever 21. Now it's just going to target you with ads, just random, not even random, but very they're just branded as. Just to remind you that next time you need a really cheap sweater, you go to Forever 21. I mean, people's could work if you're planning to get married more than once, or you have somebody to buy a lot of jewelry for, but it may not be the best on that front. I think that would be more of like a brand awareness campaign versus actually doing anything else.
I feel like people should actually, if they don't, should actually take emails, and then when it's like Mother's Day, like a couple weeks beforehand, send an email and then do an ad around it.
Actually,
but I don't
that's a
know.
good example. Yeah, doing or if for like a jewelry company, doing it around very big holidays would be a great idea.
Yeah. So it might not be something they do throughout the entire year, but it could just be campaign after campaign.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. Yeah. Yeah. Like with like an ECR, I've seen, well, I haven't seen, but I've had friends see like a 26% ROAS on it. So for every dollar you spend, you make 26, which is pretty sick. So it's definitely something that works. It's just a matter of doing it correctly, really, at this point, right? So using it seasonally if you need to, like Christmas or Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or Father's Day, I don't know. Or even birthday information would probably help a little.
Oh, yeah.
Treat yourself to XYZ. Like Baskin Robbins,
Well, Sephora, you get a free gift on your birthday and they email you to remind you.
Yeah, so Sephora could even do like birthday ads around that. Just have everybody's information in there and then throw out shit as their birthday month comes around.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's information that we can get, especially in the States. Canadians kind of still have it not great, but what can you do? What can you do?
We can move to America.
I don't want to.
Okay.
So essentially what we're looking at is like cold audiences would look like creating a list around existing clientele. A cold audience would look like creating a lookalike audience of a website visitors. Something that's warm would be the video views, that watching those percentage of video views and seeing how somebody interacts with that content. And then finally, what we would consider to be like the hot side of things is people that came to your website and didn't convert, and people who have come to your website and have converted, and you just want to continue selling to them. Yeah, that's kind of really it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ameet.
Thanks.
Those tidbits of information were most useful, and hopefully you guys can execute them in your next Facebook campaign. Thank you very much for those who joined us. You can find replays of our videos on YouTube every Tuesday. We're here every week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and like this video and comment. If you want to learn something, let us know, comment below, or DM us, slide into our DMs. If you have questions about Facebook advertising and the audiences and all that stuff, slide into Ameet's DMs. And Ameet, do you have anything you want to share?
If you want 14 Facebook tips to increase performance, join my newsletter.
Why do you sound like a robot?
Because I was moving and I just sound like I was a robot.
I'm speaking at Next Big Thing on September 28th. Please join me. Work Nicer is having a contest. If you want to win, go follow them on social, and you can win a ticket to Next Big Thing in Edmonton. Okay.
Also, sign up to my newsletter before the 19th. They're doing a special gift.
I want it now.
No, that's not done.
Okay. Marketing Doggo's here.
Okay. Oh, hi, Marketing Doggo.
The cutie baby doggy.
Okay. Bye, friends.
Bye.